Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw was taped from the Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They end up filming this Monday Night Raw before last week's Raw went live. And don't know why Raw was taped for this week. I think that's, very weird. I know they said, because of Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving is not until next Thursday. But very weird why they taped Raw tonight. But on this taped Monday Night Raw, we had Mysterio and Zelina Vega. They ended up taking on Gable and Nile, mixed tag team match. The Intercontinental Championship was on the line where Braun would defend the title against Sheamus. We had the War Raiders in action, Eric and Ivar. They ended up taking on Carlito and Dominik Mysterio. And the main event, we had the rematch between Bronson and SETH Rollins. But overall, Monday Night Raw, I thought it was a decent show tonight for a tape show, in my opinion. And we also had, the woman open up the show tonight. And, that would be your women's War Games match, which I will get to. Like I said, decent Monday Night Raw tonight for a tape show. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video, I went live last night with my buddy Attila, aka Rangers of Wrestling, and we did our AEW Full Gear predictions, to which Full Gear is this Saturday. So if you guys haven't checked out our predictions that we did last night, definitely go check it out. Fun little stream that we did, just giving, our predictions of the matches that we're going to see Saturday at Full Gear. But be sure to subscribe to the Tilla. Her channel is Rangers of Wrestling, so if you like what she does on our channel, definitely give her a subscribe. So anyway, let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So they both made their way out. They got into the ring. Liv Morgan got on the mic. She ended up welcoming everyone to Monday Night Morgan. She ended up going on to say that she knows that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, the women's tag team champions, are backstage. She ended up saying that she knows that they didn't come alone, but neither did her and Raquel Rodriguez. And that brought out Nia Jax. Nia Jax came out, she made her way down, and she was accompanied by Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae. So they made their ways into the ring. Nia Jax got on the mic. She ended up telling Raquel and Liv Morgan that she doesn't really like them, and that she doesn't really dislike them, or really think about them. So Nia Jax ended up making it clear that she doesn't like either Jade Cargill or Bianca Belair. So that brought out Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and also Naomi was with them. So Bianca ended up getting on the mic. She ended up telling Nia Jax to do something about it if she doesn't like her or Jade Cargill or Naomi. And Bianca ended up saying that they came with some backup as well. And so then that brought out Io Sky. Io Sky ended up coming out, and she ended up joining Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi. So we had, the five of them. We had Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae in there. And there was only four with Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Io Sky. So Liv Morgan ended up pointing that out. So then Rhea Ripley's music ended up hitting. Rhea Ripley ended up returning, from her injury. Rhea Ripley had a orbital bone injury, so when she came out, she was wearing a face mask. And when she came out, I was like, she looks a little like Jigsaw. Or if you ever seen Phantom of the Paradise, which is an underrated Brian De Palma film, it looked like, the Phantom mask, from the film. But yeah, Rhea Ripley came out, she got into the ring, and she stared at Liv Morgan. And she was like, War Games! And then she ended up headbutting Liv Morgan with the face mask, and the other woman ended up brawling with each other in the ring. And pretty much that's basically how the segment ended. But all this was done to set up, your women's War Games match at Survivor Series. This was just all it was set up for. But overall, I thought this segment was just very meh, in my opinion. Like, I knew where this was going. Gonna get, this to build for the women's War Games match. I'm like, do we really need a War Games match? A women's War Games match? I would be fine, with, of course, the men's War Games match, that's taking place. Because, there's actual build to it. This, for the women's War Games, this whole build was just on Friday and tonight. And we got 2 weeks until Survivor Series. You're telling me that you're going to have next week, to, hype to check out this women's War Games match? Yeah, so I feel like they're just rushing it through, here to get us to get excited for the women's War Games match. But overall, very mid-segment to open Monday Night Raw tonight. And then we had the first match of the night, which was Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega versus Chad Gable and Ivy Nile. This was a mixed tag team match, and I thought this was a good match here. And Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable did really well here. So, before the match ended up beginning, Ivy Nile slapped Zelina Vega in the face. Zelina Vega took Ivy Nile down and started brawling with her out of the ring. So, the match got underway. Chad Gable ended up attacking Rey. Rey hit the ropes and took Chad Gable down with a head scissors takeover. Rey then knocked Gable to the corner, and he pinned a shoulder thrust to Chad Gable. He went up to the second rope, and then he did the 10 punches to Gable. Gable ended up getting out, and he pulled Rey down. Ivy Nile then ran in and attacked Zelina Vega. The ref was shown holding Vega back. So we had Ivy Nile and Chad Gable end up double teaming on Rey with some stomps. Gable ended up putting Rey in the corner and started punching away at him. Gable ended up stomping him down, and Gable ended up whipping Rey sternum first to the turnbuckles. He ended up going for the cover, to which Rey kicked out. Chad Gable then ended up sending Rey back to the corner, but Rey ended up elbowing Gable back. Rey then ended up hitting another head scissor takeover to Gable over the top rope. So Zelina Vega ended up taking in. Ivy Nile ended up coming in. Zelina Vega ended up taking it to Ivy Nile. She ended up hitting a running meteor in the corner to Ivy Nile. So Vega ended up going for the cover, and Ivy Nile ended up kicking out. So we had Zelina Vega end up hooking Ivy Nile's head to deliver a suplex. She ended up shimmying just like Eddie Guerrero. But Ivy Nile ended up blocking the suplex. Ivy Nile ended up sending Zelina Vega to the ropes. But Zelina Vega blocked the hip toss from Ivy Nile. Nile then connected with a short arm clothesline to Zelina Vega. And so then Monday Night Raw went commercial. Then, when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Ivy Nile was in control of the match. She ended up applying a front face lock to Zelina Vega, to which Zelina Vega ended up fighting out of that. Ivy Nile ended up hitting a gut wrench suplex to Zelina Vega, to which she ended up going for the cover, and Zelina Vega ended up kicking out. So, Ivy Nile ended up applying a rear chin lock, to which Zelina Vega ended up fighting up. She ended up hitting a swinging back suplex to get out of the rear chin lock that was locked in on Ivy Nile. Nile then ended up quickly grabbing Zelina Vega's arm to stop Zelina Vega from making the tag to Rey Mysterio. Vega countered that into a tornado DDT to Ivy Nile. Gable then ran in, and he ended up grabbing Zelina Vega to stop her from making the tag to Rey. So Zelina Vega dropped Chad Gable with an enziguri. Very nice enziguri by Zelina Vega there. So we had Rey end up tagging in. So that led to Chad Gable coming in because, of course, Gable has to be, the legal man in there. So Rey took it to Gable with some offense. He ended up delivering another head scissor takeover to Gable. Gable then dropped Rey on the apron, but Rey kicked Gable back. Rey headed up to the top rope, and he delivered a flying seated senton to Gable. Rey then rolled Gable up. Gable kicked out. Rey ended up going for a springboard moonsault, but he got caught by Chad Gable. Chad Gable then ended up hitting an avalanche DDT on Rey, to which he went for the cover, and Rey kicked out. We had Chad Gable end up going to the top rope, but Rey ended up crotching Chad Gable. Zelina Vega ended up charging, and Rey ended up catapulting Zelina Vega into Chad Gable's face. And then Zelina Vega hit Chad Gable with a super Hurricanrana, which looked great. Ivy Nile then ran in, but Zelina Vega ended up sending Ivy Nile over the top rope. Rey then hit the springboard moonsault on Chad Gable, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Chad Gable ended up kicking out. Rey then ended up dropping Gable into position for the 619, and Rey eventually did hit the 619 on Chad Gable. Rey then ended up going for the springboard splash, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had the Creed brothers, Bruce and Julius Creed, they ended up running down to help Chad Gable up. Chad Gable then pulled himself away from the Creed brothers. Chad Gable then slapped Julius Creed in the face. And Gable was like to Julius Creed, "Oh, you're not a loser." Chad Gable then slapped Julius again. And Julius began shoving his brother Brutus. So Chad Gable was firing up the Creed brothers here. But pretty much that was basically that. But overall, decent match, decent mixed tag team match this was. And then we went to the Judgment Day Clubhouse. We saw Finn Balor. Finn Balor ended up telling Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to calm down because of the events that happened in the opening segment of the show. So Balor ended up saying that they have a lot on their plates with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill. Balor ended up saying that he'll step up for them. He then turned to Dominik. He ended up saying a few weeks ago, Dominik beat Damian Priest in the main event of Monday Night Raw. So he ended up saying that Dominik and Carlito will show the War Raiders what the Judgment Day is all about. To which Balor ended up saying that Dominik will figure it out. So JD McDonough went to Balor. He wanted to talk to Balor in private. So that was basically that. Of course, they still had WWE 2K24 in the background. But that was that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had The Miz The Miz ended up cutting a promo. He ended up saying that it's been a tough few weeks since being abducted by the Wyatt Six. He ended up saying last week he double-crossed the Wyatt Six and helped the Final Testament. So Karrion Kross ended up saying that the Wyatts are a bunch of wounded people using others to feel better about themselves. So the Miz ended up saying that this is what Marine 7 needed to get started. He ended up saying maybe Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino will direct. I highly doubt that, Miz. So Kross ended up saying that he is in control. Tick-tock. So that was basically that. I just want this whole feud between the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament and the Miz to just get it over with. I don't care. I really don't. But I thought this promo from the Miz and Karrion Kross, I thought this was good, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of, seeing this all go down, when the Final Testament, the Miz, and the Wyatt Six get into the ring. And then we saw Gunther backstage. Gunther walked up to Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther ended up telling Kaiser that he doesn't need to speak for him, and that Kaiser needs to stand on his own. Gunther then ended up telling Kaiser to go find himself. He then spoke some words in German to Kaiser, and Gunther ended up saying to Kaiser, does he still see the old ring general? Kaiser ended up saying nothing has changed. Gunther ended up saying that Priest is not under his skin. So Kaiser then walked off. Gunther then removed his jacket, and he saw Damian Priest. Damian Priest was sitting down. He looked like he was signing some autographs, and Gunther snuck up behind Priest, and he applied a sleeper hold to him. Priest quickly ended up fighting Gunther off. He took Gunther down. He ended up just laying out Gunther, over the crates backstage. So Priest ended up sitting over Gunther, and he ended up saying, in the ring, Gunther may be a general, but in the streets, he is king. So Adam Pearce ended up coming over. Priest ended up telling Pearce that he's just having a conversation with Gunther. And he was like to Priest, oh, I think your champion needs some ice. So that was basically that. And then we had Sheamus versus Braun Breaker. This was for the Intercontinental Championship, and this was a very good, entertaining match here. I think Sheamus and Braun Breaker work really well, in the ring together. So the match got underway. Both Sheamus and Braun Breaker end up staring each other down. Sheamus, really wanting the Intercontinental Championship because it's the only title that he hasn't won in his WWE career. So he's looking to capture, on, being Intercontinental Champion. So Sheamus and Braun Breaker end up approaching each other. Both guys locked up. Sheamus ended up powering Breaker out of the ring. Breaker then kneed Sheamus' midsection at ringside, and he bounced Sheamus off of the ring apron. Sheamus fought back. He bounced Braun Breaker off the commentary table. Sheamus got into the ring, but Braun Breaker ended up hitting the ropes fast. Man, how fast Braun Breaker was just hitting those ropes at rapid speed. So Braun Breaker ended up hitting the ropes so fast, he ended up running over Sheamus with a clothesline. Breaker then started shouldering away at Sheamus' midsection in the corner. Sheamus ended up countering a whip, and he ended up hitting an Irish Curse backbreaker to Braun Breaker. Sheamus ended up hitting a second Irish Curse backbreaker. He ended up going for the cover, to which Breaker kicked out at 1. Sheamus then twisted Breaker's arm, but Breaker ended up hitting a Northern Lights suplex to Sheamus. Sheamus then rolled to the apron, and Braun Breaker started punching away at Sheamus, and he ended up driving Sheamus into the ring post, and that led to Sheamus falling to the floor. Breaker ended up going to the apron, and he leapt off the apron and tackled Sheamus over the commentary table. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Braun Breaker was in control of the match. He had turned Sheamus inside out with a kitchen sink knee to Sheamus' midsection. Sheamus then rolled out of the ring to recover. Breaker followed Sheamus out, and they started brawling, out of the ring. Breaker then ended up knocking Sheamus down. He ended up going to the top rope. Breaker then ended up diving with a cannonball plancha on Sheamus, which was crazy. Good spot there by Braun Breaker. Breaker then ended up getting up. He shoved Sheamus into the ring before both guys would have been counted out. So Sheamus got fired up, and he was absorbing some blows to Braun Breaker. Sheamus started firing back with some strikes, but Breaker ended up kneeing Sheamus, and he ended up hitting the ropes. Sheamus quickly dropped Breaker with a tilt-a-whirl power slam. He then hit a pair of running hammers to Braun Breaker, and then he ended up hitting a clothesline in the corner. We had Braun Breaker try to attack Sheamus, but Sheamus countered Breaker, and he delivered 10 beats of Bodhrán to Breaker. Sheamus then clotheslined Breaker down, and he headed to the top rope, and he delivered a diving knee drop to Breaker. Sheamus ended up going for the cover, and Breaker kicked out. So Sheamus then grabbed Breaker for the white noise, but Breaker ended up fighting out of that. Breaker ended up kicking away from an Irish cloverleaf that was going to be delivered by Sheamus. He then lifted Sheamus, and he hit the lumbar check. He ended up going for the cover on Sheamus, but Sheamus ended up kicking out. Breaker then put Sheamus on the top rope. He ended up setting up Sheamus for a superplex, but Sheamus countered that into a super white noise, which was great. So he went for the cover. Breaker kicked out, and the fans were loving what they were seeing. They were chanting, "This is awesome." So we had Braun Breaker scaling the ropes, and he had pinned a Frankensteiner to Sheamus. Breaker then sized Sheamus up. He ended up going for the spear, but Sheamus ended up hitting a kneecap to Breaker. So Sheamus ended up going for the cover. Breaker ended up kicking out. So we had Sheamus end up setting up for the bro kick. Breaker countered that with a spear. Sheamus then rolled out of the ring to avoid being pinned by Breaker. So Breaker was frustrated that Sheamus rolled out of the ring. Breaker then ended up getting out of the ring. He ended up running around the ring at really good speed. And then Ludwig Kaiser clotheslined Breaker down. So we had Braun Breaker win the match by disqualification. So post-match, Kaiser then shoved Breaker into the ring post, and he had pinned a twisting headlock DDT on the floor. Kaiser then ran around the ring, and he had drop kicking Sheamus into the steel steps. Really like when Kaiser does that. He runs around the ring, he does the drop kick to his opponents on the steel steps. Kaiser then ended up shouting at Sheamus that he won't stop until he's done for good. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a good match, very entertaining match from Braun Breaker and Sheamus. Like I said, they worked really well together here. And with Kaiser coming out there and clothesline Braun Breaker down there, and also turns attention to Sheamus, drop kicking Sheamus into the steel steps, you could tell that, we are setting up for a triple threat match. That will come at Survivor Series. It'll be a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. That's how the way I see it, the way this took place from what we saw. And then we saw Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Sami Zayn. They walked up to Seth Rollins. Jey ended up saying to Rollins that it is time to put their differences aside for this one time. Sami Zayn ended up saying that they did this before, when Rollins put his differences aside to team with Cody Rhodes. So Sami Zayn asked Rollins to do it again and stand with them at War Games. So Rollins ended up saying that he stood side by side with them, but he'll never stand with that tyrant, Roman Reigns. And Rollins ended up saying that he loved to tear Bronson Reed apart in a steel cage, but he doesn't want to put Reigns back in power. Rollins ended up saying that he will solve their problems by dropping Bronson Reed. He ended up saying that Reed will never make it to War Games, and whatever happens from there is on them. So Rollins ended up wishing them luck. So pretty much that was basically that. But I think Rollins is going to be the fifth man, even though he says, oh, I'll never stand with Roman Reigns. I think that Seth Rollins will be a part of the War Games match. And, if Rollins is a part of the War Games match and is the fifth member when he says that he doesn't want to be and he doesn't want to, be with Roman Reigns, they're going to pull a can they coexist in War Games? The way how I see it with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had a promo from Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai ended up saying for the last 4 months, she's been on the sidelines. She ended up saying that it's hard to be away from the action. Dakota Kai ended up saying that she doubted herself and thought there might not be a place for her. Dakota Kai ended up saying that she's never wanted or loved this more. She ended up saying that she's a champion and she's ready. So there you go. That was what Dakota Kai had to say. And then we had Dominik Mysterio and Carlito. They have taken on the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar. I thought this was a decent match here. Eric and Dominik Mysterio started off the match. Eric ended up taking Dominik down, and he slammed Dominik. Dominik ended up crawling to the corner and tagged Carlito in. Ivar also tagged in, so Carlito and Ivar ended up going at it. Carlito applied a waistlock on Ivar, but Ivar ended up fighting Carlito off, and he avalanched him. Eric then tagged in. Ivar hit a scoop slam to Carlito, and Eric ended up scoop slamming Ivar onto Carlito. So, nice double team by the War Raiders. Eric then powered Carlito into the corner and tagged Ivar in. Carlito then ended up hitting a throat thrust to Ivar, and Dominik ended up tagging in. Dominik came in, he started stomping away at Ivar in the corner. So the ref ended up backing Dominik up, and the ref didn't see this because Carlito choked Ivar. And the ref didn't see that. Carlito ended up tagging in, he started punching Ivar. Ivar ended up fighting Carlito and Dominik off, and he tagged in Eric. Eric ended up taking it to Carlito. He ended up setting up for a powerbomb, but Eric got distracted by Dominik. So Eric quickly ended up hitting Carlito with an exploder suplex. Carlito got up, he reversed the whip, but Eric ended up booting Carlito back. Dominik then quickly attacked Eric, and then Dominik ended up tagging in, and he ended up hitting Eric with a suicide dive. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Dominik was in control of the match. He had Eric in a chin lock, to which Eric ended up fighting out of that. Eric dropped Dominik on the apron, but Dominik ended up snapping Eric off the top rope. Dominik ended up hitting a slingshot senton splash. He ended up going for the cover, to which Eric kicked out. Carlito then tagged in. He started stomping away at Eric. Carlito then grabbed Eric by his beard, but Eric ended up grabbing Carlito's hair, and he punched Carlito down. And at the end of the match, we had Eric and Ivar. They ended up hitting Carlito with a catapult power slam. And then both Eric and Ivar hit Carlito with the War Machine. And there you go. The War Raiders ended up winning the match. Post-match, Balor and McDonough end up attacking the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar. Both Balor and McDonough targeted the War Raiders' necks, of course, because the War Raiders, had neck injuries. So Balor then ended up going up to the top, and he hit a coup de grace on them. But that was basically that. Overall, this was a decent tag team match with the War Raiders and Carlito and Dominik. And then we had Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas ended up cutting a promo, and more and more, Bo Dallas is starting to look like his brother, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham. It's the beard, the long hair. So Bo Dallas ended up saying that they offered The Miz salvation. Bo Dallas ended up saying that he tried to warn The Miz, but he damned himself. Bo Dallas ended up saying, "I'm sorry for what happens next," and that The Miz chose this. He ended up saying that his hands will be stained scarlet red, and that he will lose. He ended up saying what matters most is that he never wanted this. So that was what Bo Dallas had to say. Pretty good promo from Bo Dallas here. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had a promo from Lyra Valkyria. Lyra ended up saying that a phoenix has to burn to rise from the ashes. She ended up saying that when she was drafted to Raw, she was thrown into the fire. But she didn't burn. She ended up saying that she thrived by facing the best in the world. Lyra ended up saying that she used to think she was a phoenix, but she's so much more. Lyra ended up saying that she doesn't burn, and she rises. She ended up saying that she is coming for everyone. So there you go. Pretty decent promo from Lyra Valkyria. And then after that, we saw the Alpha Academy walking backstage. We saw Akira Tozawa, Otis, and Maxine Dupree. They bumped into Kofi Kingston. Maxine Dupree ended up saying to Kofi that they're excited for the New Day's 10-year anniversary. So Xavier Woods ended up coming up to them. And Xavier Woods ended up saying to Kofi that they've never had a fight, but now they're fighting all the time. Xavier Woods ended up telling Kofi that he keeps on thinking about what Karrion Kross said regarding the New Day being dead. So Kofi ended up trying to say to Xavier Woods that Kross doesn't know what he's talking about. So Otis then tried to step in. Xavier Woods then criticized Otis. So Xavier Woods ended up saying that they'll face Alpha Academy. He ended up saying being these two clowns will put them where they need to be. So with Xavier Woods ended up saying that, Kofi did not look too happy about that. So pretty much Xavier Woods wants him and Kofi to face Akira Tozawa and Otis. But the breakup of the New Day is going to be coming at Survivor Series. Xavier Woods is going to turn on Kofi Kingston. That's how the way I see it. But there's a lot of people predicting that maybe Kofi might be the one to turn heel. I think it's going to be Xavier Woods, the one to turn heel. Main event. Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins. This was a rematch with them. this was a good match, good main event. So the match got underway. Of course, everyone in the crowd was singing Rollins' theme, going, whoa. So the Bloodline was out there. We saw Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu. They appeared at ringside. We did not see Solo Sikoa. So the Usos and Sami Zayn ran down, and they started brawling with the Bloodline. The Usos and Sami Zayn end up fighting the Bloodline into the crowd. The Usos then double super kicked Jacob Fatu into the crowd, which that was pretty cool. So the match got underway. Bronson Reed ended up taking Rollins down and sent him into the ropes. Rollins then held the ropes and booted Bronson Reed back. Rollins ended up sending Reed out of the ring, and he delivered a suicide dive to Reed on the outside. Rollins got into the ring, he started celebrating, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. When Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Rollins was in control of the match. He ended up chopping Bronson Reed. Rollins hit the ropes, but he got avalanched down by Bronson Reed. Rollins then rolled out of the ring, and we had Reed end up punching Rollins from the apron. He ended up going to ringside. Reed ended up bouncing Rollins' face off the ring apron. Rollins then ended up chopping Bronson Reed, but Bronson Reed delivered a chop right back to Rollins. Bronson Reed then whipped Rollins into the timekeeper's area. So Bronson Reed got back into the ring. The ref was making the count for Rollins to get back in, to which Rollins immediately made it back into the ring for him not to be counted out. Reed then started punching away at Rollins. He then headbutted Rollins down. Rollins came back with a jawbreaker to Bronson Reed. Rollins started punching away at Reed. Reed then reversed the whip and turned Rollins inside out with a kitchen sink knee to Rollins' midsection. Reed then clotheslined Rollins over the top rope. He ended up going to the apron. He sized Rollins up to deliver a flying shoulder tackle. Reed then grabbed Rollins and he whipped Rollins hard into the ring steps, into the steel steps. Reed then charged, but Rollins ended up moving out of the way, and Bronson Reed hit the steel steps. Rollins got into the ring to recover. He then went to the outside, and he bounced Reed off of the steel steps a few times. Rollins went for the stomp on the steps, but Reed ended up moving out of the way. Reed got back into the ring. Rollins then ended up hitting a springboard knee to Reed's face. He then booted Reed, but Reed's ended up getting fired up. Reed then ended up hitting a sit-out powerbomb to Rollins. He ended up going for the cover, to which Rollins kicked out. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, it was its final commercial break of the evening. Rollins was in control of the match. He ended up fighting out of a superplex attempt from Bronson Reed. Rollins ended up kicking Reed in the face. He ended up hitting Reed with a powerbomb off the ropes. Rollins ended up hitting a springboard moonsault, to which he ended up going for the cover, to which Bronson Reed kicked out at 1. We had Rollins end up hitting a springboard senton bomb. He ended up going for the cover to Reed, to which Reed kicked out again. Rollins was stunned at that. I mean, one springboard moonsault and one springboard senton bomb could not keep the big man down. Rollins then avoided a cannonball from Bronson Reed. He ended up kicking Reed in the head. Rollins went to the top rope, and he delivered a frog splash to Reed. Rollins went for the cover, and Reed kicked out. So later on, we had Rollins ended up going for a pedigree, but Reed ended up fighting out of that. He then super kicked Reed, and Rollins then finally hit the pedigree. Rollins ended up going for the cover, to which Reed ended up kicking out, to which Rollins was shocked at that. So Rollins then connected with a stomp to Reed. He immediately headed to the top rope. Rollins was sent up for a super stomp from the top, but Solo Sikoa appeared on the commentary table. Solo Sikoa distracted Rollins. Reed then grabbed Rollins and he hit the Death Valley driver to Rollins. He then followed that up with 2 senton splashes onto Rollins. Reed then went to the top rope and he delivered the tsunami onto Rollins. Reed ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Bronson Reed ended up winning the match. Post-match, Solo Sikoa got into the ring and he raised Bronson Reed's hand. And that was how Monday Night Raw ended tonight. But overall, very good match this was. Good rematch between Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins here. Like I said, my prediction without a doubt, Rollins is going to be the 5th guy on the original Bloodline team for War Games. Even though Rollins wants to say he wants nothing to do with Reigns, I think, that's the direction that they're going to go. They're going to have Rollins be the 5th guy, and then they're going to pull the can they coexist between Rollins and Reigns. But overall, this was a decent Monday Night Raw tonight for a tape show. But anyway, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. So, see you all then.